And now, around the world and around the corner, it's the David Bowers Awards, bringing the best in indie music to millions of listeners worldwide with your host, the David Bowers. We've got a fantastic lineup of guests, as well as our engineer extraordinaire, Nick the Geek, our entire crew here at the Asylum, and me. I'm John Bon Jovial. And now, here's the voice of indie music, the David Bowers.
Well, thank you very much, legendary John Bon Jovial. Thank you, listeners around the world, for joining us again. Hello and welcome to the David Bowers Awards. We're here at Blog Talk Radio, as well as some other platforms around the world, so you should have no problem finding us. Matter of fact, if you can't find us online, you're probably not listening to me now, so why even go over the subject? I mean, what the heck? Let's play music. Heck? That's what we're here for. Got a young lady, calls herself Vassie. Her song is Concrete Heart.
Want to feel you on my skin, your electric fingertips. I would let you in if I could love you. Twisted, craving, you're my sin. Every touch I'm shattering. I would let you in if I could love you. If I could love you with a concrete heart, I never break and never drop my guard. I would shut down these feelers, keep out these demons, never fall apart. If I could love you with a concrete heart, concrete heart. Want to feel your lips on mine, tangled up in this desire. I know I should hide how much I want you. You're the shadow I can't outrun. Taste that lingers on my tongue. I would come undone if I could love you. If I could love you with a concrete heart, I never break and never drop my guard. I would shut down these feelers, keep out these demons, never fall apart. If I could love you with a concrete heart, if I could love you with a concrete heart, I can't escape you. Won't let my walls down. I can't escape you. Won't let my walls down. If I could love you, I never break and never drop my guard. I would shut down these feelings, keep out these demons, never fall apart. If I could love you with a concrete heart, if I could love you, if I could love you with a concrete heart, if I could love you with a concrete heart.
And there she is, Vassie Karagiogos. And she goes simply by the name Vassie. I can't imagine why. There probably aren't 5 DJs in the entire world that could pronounce her last name. She's known mononymously. And we had a kick. I had to use that word, mononymously. For those of you who are not familiar with the English language, it means she goes by a single name like Cher and, some of the Madonna and John Bon Jovial. But anyway, she's an Australian singer, songwriter, record producer. She was discovered by Australian radio station Triple J after winning the Song of the Year. Her single, We Are Young, reached #1 on the U.S. Billboard dance charts, and that made her the first Australian artist to go #1 with her solo single debut release. She's certified RIAA Platinum and Gold recording artist, which means simply she sold a heck of a lot of records. Let us know what you think of Vassie. John Bon Jovial, what do you think of Vassie?
Well, I like the production values. I like the song. It's got a nice jump to it. But you know me, I have a real bug about auto-tune. I hate auto-tune. I just don't think it's useful in any way, shape, or form. And she uses it. She doesn't use it terribly. It's kind of subtle. But I still have a problem with the fact that she's using it. And I think that if she would just use her God-given talent to just sing and not try to make something else of her voice that it isn't, she in my book, in my opinion, I think she'd go further.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and you know that I'm not a big fan of autotune, although I think we're going to hear more and more of it. I'm waiting. You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for the first artist to come along to do the entire voice track in autotune. No natural singing at all, just 100% autotune. If you can lip sync, you can autotune,
yeah,
right?
I think that's already been done. It was called Black Eyed Peas.
You might be right there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the show where every show is an award show, which automatically makes each of our guests award winners. We want to say hello and thank you to Titty Bingo, our house band, for our theme music. Be sure to check out their CD, Rock and Roll, and their latest single was Homework. They've got some new music they're working on. We hope to be hearing from them real soon. Want to also shout out to Mary Perry, accredited disability representative in Rochester, New York, who underwrites the David Bowers Awards on WRFZ FM 106.3. That's Rochester Free Radio. For our Rochester, New York listeners, be sure to catch our friends who follow us on WRFZ FM 106.3. Up next after us on Saturday is Steve Litvak with Rock and Roll Rumble, followed by the equally legendary Armand Shabrook with Armand Spins, great vinyl from the past, some of which you might have heard, but believe me, he finds some arcane music that you may never have heard before and might never hear again. However, I'm sure he could find a copy for you if you're looking for it and can't find it, because that's Armand's thing. Really, really unusual and in some cases previously unheard vinyl from the past. Be sure and check them out on Rochester Free Radio.
Hey, this is Michaela, and you're listening to The David Bowers.
Well, thank you very much, Michaela. We haven't heard much from you lately. We'll have to check out and get Michaela back on the show. Right now, we've got our first guest coming up, and we've got a couple of great ones for you today. Before we get to them, our first The David Bowers Award for the week is rather special and unfortunately a rather sad one. It's a salute to one of the most influential guitarists in the history of rock and roll. I was talking with our engineer and indie artist himself, Nick Rogers, whom we affectionately refer to as Nick the Geek. He's just one of the many musicians influenced by the man who influenced two generations of musicians and songwriters, and we lost on St. Patrick's Day of this year. He's off surfing rock and roll heaven, Mr. Dick Dale. And Nick, why don't you come in and tell us your story?
Well, thanks so much, guys. As most people know, the legendary Dick Dale is now gone from us as of Sunday evening. As the resident musician and engineer on the show, I just wanted to come on and say a few words about his passing. He was highly influential to me as well as countless others. His style has reverberated throughout popular culture for decades, half of a century or more, influencing people like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix, all the way up to modern hard rock and heavy metal. As a guitar player myself, just seeing the way that he would attack the instrument in such a way, the sound that he was able to get through his instrument and the emotion it was able to evoke is something I don't know that he has an equal in that, at least for his genre. And even in the sense that he would use non-traditional scales. Being Lebanese, he would use these Middle Eastern microtonal scales, which we just don't see at all. And so in a song like Miserlou, which was his big hit, obviously most people know from Pulp Fiction and the Black Eyed Peas sampling of it later on. Very, very bizarre in the choice of notes, but it just tends to work. Having that with the rapid fire of his right hand, just moving forward, just pounding, relentless. It's no wonder that he influenced, the heavy metal and death metal and black metal bands that are just basically playing the same style, just with a little bit more grit on their amplifiers. Maybe not as much grit with the right hand. I don't even know if that's possible. But I think he's one person. Anytime an artist dies, you get people from their genre saying, "Oh, he was such an inspiration, such a legend, et cetera," and that's all well and good. But rarely do you see someone that spans the genres in the sense that he had blues musicians come out saying how legendary he was, rock musicians, jazz musicians, classical musicians even, just for the emotions he was able to evoke. And so for me as a music teacher as well, Dick Dale's music becomes part of my curriculum. If somebody wants to learn how to play heavy metal, we got to start at the beginning. We got to start with surf rock and Dick Dale. That right hand, it's all from him. So that being said, guys, we're going to miss Dick Dale, but the music lives on. Thank you. Thanks, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick, for that personal insight, and we appreciate you taking the time to share with us. Thank you. And we're moving right along with our next guest standing by. We have a couple by the name of Bobby and Sarah who go by the name of Focus Your Audio for their group, and we're going to focus on one of their previous recordings right now, so you get a chance to listen to them, and then we're going to have them come in and talk with us. Here's Focus Your Auto. It's called Focus Your Audio, not your auto. It's Drive Your Auto, Focus Your Audio. Sorry about that, guys. It's called Shades Away.
Shiny walls and glass, you couldn't help but stare straight through. I pile those chairs just to kick them all down, and I punch those walls in, well, it burned from the inside out. I come from a million ways. I come from shades away. I'll make you close your eyes. I'll take your